I want us to talk about, I guess, your background growing up as a pastor's
Mhm.
child, and how that has shaped you today. So I guess my first question for you is, what was your original understanding of Christianity growing up, and how is that different, from how you live out your faith today?
Okay. Growing up, my understanding of Christianity, I wouldn't say it was poor or it's a far cry from what I know. I mean, there's a lot that I have learned in addition to what I learned growing up, but I would say for myself, honestly, that I had a very solid Christian upbringing. I was deeply rooted in the word and in the truth as it should be. My
Mm-hmm.
parents did a great job raising us, and teaching us the undiluted word of God. Of course, I grew up to eventually know more about God and, develop my intimacy with God and then discover, things that, and that no matter how, I feel like no matter how great your upbringing was, there are still depths that God is calling you to in your relationship, with Him. And there are still heights that He wants to take you to. And so you will continue to uncover, layers to your relationship with God and layers of truth that maybe you did not get the fullness of growing up. So, I'm not one of those pastor's kids that would say, I had a horrible, Christian experience growing up, or how some people's parents were a certain kind of way in church and then they lived differently at home. No, there was a genuine alignment between who my parents were in church and who they were at home. So I'm one of those fortunate ones and those blessed ones, to have had a solid upbringing. Of course, there were a couple of things that I found to be maybe half truths as far as my relationship with God was concerned. Some of it maybe that I learned in church, in Sunday school, for instance, in my children's church, and there were things I discovered. Oops, this is not the actual truth. This is not the full truth about how we approach God. For instance, I remember having a Sunday school teacher, a children's teacher. I must have been a preteen or a teenager at this point, definitely a preteen, not a teenager yet. I was still in children's church. And, she had said to me that people who wore a particular kind of clothing, where they were going to hell, like they, they didn't love God and they were not children of God, and all of those things. And this thing is not what she was talking about, is not even clothing that you see. These are undergarments, stuff that nobody even sees on the outside. So how does that